I wanted to officially mark the completion of this memorial project, more than 2 years in the making, with some sort of event. I've never organized an event like this before, so the format's a little loose. Prepared a speech myself, and Mayor Fuller has said she'd say a few words, and I think Principal Turner will be joining us soon. He said he might. But afterward, if anyone else feels inspired to come up and share an anecdote or memory of Coach Blackburn, you are welcome to as well. Because as I said, you're all part of that. You're all part of his legacy. I'll officially introduce myself. I'm Evan Morse. I ran 9 seasons under Coach Blackburn, mostly cross country and outdoor track, 1 season indoor. And I coordinated this project. I designed and sculpted bronze relief. And I don't claim to have a unique relationship with Coach Blackburn. I was a pretty good runner, but definitely not the best. We had a few really good runners when I was in school here. And I also want to say that Newton North has had a lot of great coaches, and we had other boys track coaches that were equally wonderful and very influential to me personally, and I think a few of them are here as well. But Coach Blackburn years, which according to a Boston Globe article is a national record for boys varsity track coaching. And 30 of those years were here at Newton North. So, and in the 30 years at Newton North, the Newton North track team won so many titles. I don't know how many. I wish I did, but I don't have the number. But I can say about my own 4 years, and it's going to sound a bit like bragging, because it is. But I believe we went undefeated for all 4 years, and I think Dan Chevitt can corroborate me on this. Yes. But we also had really, really good coaching. Would Newton North Track be so strong without Coach Blackburn? Speaking personally, the environment Coach Blackburn fostered was one where you could push yourself to be the best you could be, and he would give you the workouts needed to help you get there. He wanted you to get there. But I never felt pressured to perform. He had a steely character, but he was never mean. He would never make you feel bad. He would motivate you. So I think that environment set the right tone, and was what attracted so many athletes to cross country and to track. And that's what made us so strong, and that's what made it so fun. That community. And that community of runners is what I thought about in 2019 when I learned that Coach Blackburn had passed away. I thought that not only should there be some permanent memorial for him, but I thought that there would be many other people who would want to pitch in. And I was right. And that's you guys. Thank you all again. So I also want to thank Newton North Principal Henry Turner, who approved the project and who fielded my requests, including through the middle of the pandemic. He also allocated some additional funding towards the installation of the granite block from the school. Joe Crossan, as well as David Stickney from Newton Public Schools facilities, helped with logistics of installation and worked with the city to excavate a footing for the stone and to provide gravel and concrete and a generator for installation. An aside about the installation. Early in the process, I was in contact with Charlotte Blackburn, Jim's wife. She expressed that the plaque should go outside the high school, near the track, so that anyone would be able to see it. She also mentioned that before I brought this idea to her, she was thinking about dedicating a bench in memory of her husband. I agreed with her, of course, but hadn't planned for this. As you can see, there aren't really any vertical surfaces near the track, so that meant creating one. It led to the solution of the bronze plaque mounted on the granite stone, but that created a lot of hurdles too. The correct size and shape of the stone, where to get it, how to deliver it, what kind of footing was needed, where is a good spot that's also safe to dig, and how could I fit it in the budget. In the end, I sourced this block from a granite quarry in the Berkshires, and as I said, the school and the city helped to make it work. And I mounted the plaque on site over the course of a few days. And I want to acknowledge my wife, who's over there by the camera, Taylor, who's also a sculptor, and she donated her labor on a very long, very hot July afternoon to help install the plaque. So after all the extra effort, I'm very pleased that the memorial has a standalone spot near the track, near the main visitor's entrance to the track, along this pathway, and near a bench, as I hope Charlotte Blackburn may appreciate. I spoke with a few Newton North juniors last week as they were finishing cross-country practice, and they said that the last generation to know Coach Blackburn personally had just graduated last spring. But they knew of him, and they knew about this bronze relief. And that's my hope for this memorial, that it can be a marker of Newton North pride, not just for those who knew Coach Blackburn, for those who run track, but as evidence that we honor our time and experiences here at Newton North, and we honor those who dedicate their careers to helping young people thrive. Thank you.
This feels very emotional to me. I've got to say it's really good for all of us to be together. Evan, I think you exemplify all the reasons why Coach Blackburn loved coaching for 58 years, and my guess is you've got a little bit of him in you forever. And I suspect that feels really good to his wife, Charlotte. This feels very Newton and a very real special Newton moment. And we come together in part, Charlotte, to surround you with a lot of love and a lot of hugs. And for all of us to celebrate such a great life well lived. He certainly was a man who knew the intricacies of track and field and had that special gift of being able to impart it to generation after generation of young people. And he had a way of creating excellence year after year, decade after decade. And from everything I hear, it was because year after year, all the kids wanted to live up to his expectations and earn his respect. Pretty nice. I'd also say this is so Newton in another way. This is what the Newton Public Schools are all about, creating that bond, certainly between fellow teammates and kids, but also between the adults and the kids who spend so much time together. And I've just got to come back to you again, Evan. You moved forward in your career with art, but your roots were always right here in Newton. And when you heard about Coach Blackburn passing, what did you do? You reignited a community and brought us together today and over the years. And created a ripple from, I'd say, the grief towards gratitude and affection that feels awfully good to all of us, and I hope in particular to Charlotte. Great job on the plaque, by the way. I just saw it I saw it in the picture, but the picture doesn't do it justice. It's just great. Hope forever be remembered because of your artwork, but most importantly, Charlotte, because of his legacy and his impact on kids. And my guess is I saw one of your teammates holding their little wee child. I have a feeling that little wee child might grow up and hear lots of stories about Coach Blackburn. So it's not stopping with the generation who already know him. It's going to pay itself forward. I invite anybody else, as Evan suggested, if anybody else has moved to say a few words, come join us.
I really didn't think about being the first person to come up, but maybe I'll just start it. I know Evan from the Carving Studio and Sculpture Center in Vermont, which I founded back in '86 and '87. And when I received his invitation, I was so happy that I was here in Massachusetts because I divide my time between Vermont and Massachusetts. And I have to say, I was so incredibly touched that a student of Coach Blackburn is going to be creating this memorial. And I just think that it's like a circle of energy that is just going around. And I think it's very special on many, many levels. And thank you very much. And thanks for taking the initiative to get it going. It's really exquisite. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joe. Here is a small child who will eventually go to Newton North. I actually moved back to Newton a few years ago, but loved it here, obviously. I'm back. And I guess a big part of high school was track. Evan said he ran 9 seasons. I only ran 7. Could not run cross country, so I was a sprinter. Couldn't do anything like that. But Blackburn left such a huge impression on me, so many of my friends, even people who didn't run track, because everybody knew about his... I mean, he was a legendary coach. I don't really have the right words to describe it, but even after college, after high school, I graduated 2003, he's been kind of there every single year, just with different things, not just running, but persistence, teaching you how to be disciplined, just putting in the effort, even if it wasn't, you weren't doing your best job, but try your hardest, just push, and kind of got me through a lot of things. And when Evan said that he was doing this, I was just like, in the back of my head thinking, maybe I could get some people together, raise some money, and find an artist. And honestly, nobody could have done it better than you. It's amazing, it looks just like him, and I will come back here, watch the team run, and think of Blackburn every single time. So thank you, Evan, and go Newton.
This is Brian Burba, and I'm here with a friend of mine, Jared Pryor, graduated 2016. I wanted to speak, my son Theo and my son Bruce went through the program, so they're junior in college, freshman in college, and Theo spent a lot of time with Coach, and he had, it might be a little difficult for me, he had come by on his own, and I know he's at Duke, and he can't be here, but he was pretty moved by the installation. Evan, it's just truly spectacular. I had no idea what we were. I thought it was a little. But I asked Jared. I just sort of walked by because he was a senior when Theo was a freshman, and Jared was Theo's mentor in soccer and also in track, and so it's just that meant a lot to him as well. And those were pretty incredible years, and I think it's hard to describe what the program has meant for our family. And we got a lot out of it. Thanks, Sharon. I'm supposed to. And we got a lot out of it, and of the program, and it kind of came to a screeching halt with the pandemic. And I just think that what Jim built and the culture that he built, it had a huge influence on me, but more importantly on my son. And well, Coach Wallace has continued. It's just remarkable, and it's such a wonderful tradition. And the teammates and the kids and everything that's happened, it's just amazing. So, Charlotte, it's nice to see you. And but Jared was he was a key feature of the track in those years. So I don't know. It's all right. Sort of calm here on the mic there.
A lot of people have very similar things to say about Coach. Calling him a legend is not hyperbole, really, in any sense. It's very true that people outside the program who had never interacted with him a single time basically knew exactly, what the man was about, understood sort of the gravitas that he had. In a lot of ways, he was more like a general, sort of a military figure. He was a tactician, a strategist. Had a very well-rounded understanding of the sport, and his approach to training people was not easy. Certainly, he demanded more of you than you thought that you could give on any day, and a lot of it was rooted in his mannerisms. He was a very stoic person. He was also a very kind person in a lot of moments, but he kept a very stoic face. And there were a lot of stories about his times as an athlete, his performances as an athlete. Legendary one that almost everyone knows is that he won the Massachusetts State Championship on a broken foot. He had a fractured metatarsal, I believe. He told me that he trained just by laying in his bed doing high knees and listening to Frank Sinatra for that week. So everyone was, all the athletes working with him were impressed, sort of in awe of that standard that he set for himself as an athlete. He would go on to be an excellent quarter miler at Villanova. We heard a lot of stories about the Olympians that he ran with, the legendary coaches he had, the hard workouts he was doing. So there was a lot of credibility when he asked you to do more than you were willing to do at the time. I saw the vast majority of people subscribe to that, even if you never would have guessed that they would run themselves into the ground. He had that sort of level of attention where he demanded it from everyone. He cared a lot about how the varsity team did, but I never observed any difference between how he treated the athletes who were currently competing in the varsity meets versus the junior varsity athletes. Very much had the same demands for everyone. I saw a lot of people who might not have athletically bloomed in the beginning of high school go on to become very fast runners, and if they weren't fast inherently, then they became strong, mentally and physically, and that was, I think, the biggest gift he gave to a lot of people was strength, based on the model of his own strength, and it was legendary. That's the only word for it. So.
John Waldron. I was assistant coach under Jim Blackburn from 2001 to 2005. The number 58 kind of blows me away, 58 years. And it made me realize that 5 years, which is the time that I worked with him, it's just a drop in the bucket in his career. And in fact, for most of the athletes, 4 years was a drop in the bucket of his career. And yet, the 5 years that I worked with him, with all the agreements and the disagreements that we had, were the most impactful on me as a coach. I learned more in that time than I've learned the other 3 quarters of my career as a coach. And I think that every athlete would say that the time spent with Coach Blackburn was the most impactful time in terms of their relationship to athletics, to understanding what they could do, finding out things they could do that they didn't think that they could do. There's a saying, it's definitely not original with me, that you don't coach for 58 years. You coach 1 year 58 times. And with Coach Blackburn, it was almost like you coached 1 day for 100 days of a season. And then you did that again and again for 58 years. And it was absolutely essential to him that every single day you came and you gave your best. That's just who he was. And that lesson was impacted on me. I think it was impacted on the athletes. It's wonderful to hear people talk about him as a legend. It's, I think, the most overused phrase in sports. But a true legend is someone who tells stories, about whom stories are told. And the stories about Coach Blackburn are the deepest grooves in the record of my life. What he experienced, what he imparted to us and the lessons that we took away. I feel enormously grateful for the time that I had to work with him. And again, Evan, I want to thank you for bringing us together and continuing to bring people together. Think about his memory and about how much he gave to us. Thanks.
Hi everybody. I was going to try and stay in the background, but everybody is kind of motivating. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Sean Wallace, and I was Blackburn's assistant coach for, I don't know, it was like 17 years, I think. So it's been a while. I came on board in 2005, I think. You know, he had a legendary persona, and I've learned, like you guys have all said, I've learned so much from him. And now that I got to take over, as I like to say, he gave me the keys to the Ferrari, and I just don't break it. I just can't break the Ferrari, which I hope I haven't, but you never know. There's so many things. I got to know him more than just a coach. The bus rides that I can't even put into words, like the bus rides, how I didn't know at the time, but I go back and I miss them. That's what I think about the most from Blackburn. But one thing that I always like to say is he had this way. I don't know what it was, but he had this way of motivating people, like to no end, and I didn't understand it. I couldn't understand it. Why, when he said something that, like, every athlete would have run through a brick wall for the guy, and they would not have thought twice about it. Like, if you ask, and that's what he asked of you every day, to just, push yourself to the limit every single day, and not a single person had a problem with it. He even motivated me. I think I was going to a race one time, and I told him I was racing. I think it was anybody knows Justin Keefe. I was going to race him in a road race. And I was like, oh, hey, Jim, I got a road race tomorrow against Justin. Like, who do you got your money on? He's like, well, Justin is younger than you and weighs less than you. And I was like, what? And I walked away, and I'm like, that son of a gun. Like, and he insulted. And so then I go out there, and I'm going to prove him wrong. Now, I mean, I didn't beat Justin that day, but he was fast. I was not. But even somebody like me, like, he had this way of just being able to motivate you, and I didn't take it personally or anything like that, but he motivated people, and I saw it day in and day out, and that's what I try and do every day now. Just try and motivate the kids to do the best that they possibly can. I know that I have gigantic shoes to fill, and it won't ever get to that point, but I've grown more from him, understanding what it means to coach, and what it takes to not only win, because that wasn't all about what it wasn't just winning, but it was to get every person to do their best. And I've learned so much from him that I try and instill every day, and I just feel super lucky that I was able to get to know the guy. So that's it. Thank you.
I think it's fitting, speaking after Sean, because the first time I met Sean, we made the connection that I ran track at Melrose. He was from Wakefield, which we usually don't talk to each other. But we were talking about back when we were running track, that Reading had this unbelievable record of undefeated wins, and he said, we broke that record, right? Which was pretty cool to hear that and to make that connection. The first time I met Jim was because our boys were insisting that they were going to run without their shirts on during practice. So that was my first introduction to him, and that was not the most positive meeting, but since then I became to really learn to respect his belief around kids and how he motivated and just the connection that he made with people, and to know that Now to see some of the people that, some of the young men who were in high school my first year, to see them coming back from Vermont and some other places, to see them here is just really a testament to him. And I just want to thank Evan, because Evan reached out to me about doing this, and initially we thought about this being a small project, and I think now we see where we are in terms of your creativity and also your passion for this, and knowing that the community was going to rally around in honor of Jim. So I want to thank the family and Evan and all of you for coming, and I'm glad that we were able to get this done.
So I know I get a reaction. So my name's Michael Glenn. I'm the Brookline coach, but my roots happen to go back to Newton North. My dad coached at Newton North, both in the girls and the boys program, back in the 70s, in the 80s, and even beyond when he retired. And in those days, he actually used to watch Jim and Mark Young, the former Yale coach, do workouts in the track after he was finished with the Newton North practice. So my roots go back to Newton North from when I was in high school. He was coaching here. But I coach now at Brookline, so that gets a different reaction from the athletes that are here and know me that way. So beyond the Newton experience for Jim, right, is that he meant so much to so many people. Just because of his attitude and what he took competition to be. And that rose the level up for everybody. It rose up the level for everybody around our league, around our state. My story is about Jim. He was a great mentor and friend to me, and always encouraged me and my teams. But I used to always see him, because Jim always was trying to still be an athlete all the way through his life. Jim would swim at the Brookline pool every single day. And I would run into him there as I was leaving practice, and he was running over from his practice all the time, and would chit-chat before he went in and did all his work. Of course, I was just going home for supper. Jim's going out to swim, you know, lap after lap after lap. And it was that attitude, and that's why when everyone talks about his athletes would do anything for him, is they knew that that's how Jim was. Jim would do anything to stay in shape, to work hard, to get the best out of himself, and that's why athletes did it for him. And it was something that I always aspired to do in my coaching for my athletes. And it was something that really meant a lot. My dad, as I said, coached here and was really friendly with Jim. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight because he's in Hawaii, but he was really a big proponent of this project, and he would be so grateful, Evan, to see what it came out to do. So, thank you very much.
And I am another competitive coach, or competitor coach, Chris Van Cott from Needham. And I didn't know Mike as well as, I didn't know Jim as well as Mike did. But my impression of Jim was, you know, not only the winning culture and the legendary stories and things like that, but really a culture of excellence. And for my kids, we generally aren't quite at the level where we can compete with Newton North in track and hope to come away with anything close to a win. But for the few years that we did, my kids would get up for that meet as much as they would get up for anything. And they would be so excited to try to beat Newton North. And so, again, like everyone has said, the culture of excellence and the work ethic that Jim imparts on imparted on all of his athletes, and the continued culture of excellence of the Newton North track and field programs is really what stands out to me.
Him as Clint Eastwood. But I recently heard in Hollywood that they actually think that Clint Eastwood is Jim.
What's up, guys? I'll keep this short and sweet. Just want to share a little anecdote. I think already a bunch of great words have been said, and I don't know if I could say them much better. So instead, we'll do a personal story. Kind of speaking to the way that Coach would be able to motivate you sometimes without even saying anything. There was one time we were doing hill sprints right over there. I'm blanking on the name of the street. Highland, yes, Briar, thank you. On Highland, and I remember that was one of the only times that I could keep up with Gabe Monsky and Mike Schlichten. That was the one thing that I could be with the big dogs with. So I wanted to be able to show Coach, hey, I'm all right too. So I remember we were doing it. We're probably towards one of the last few reps. Of course, he would never tell you how many are left. If you asked him, that means you're doing a bunch more. Typically not a good idea. But we're probably getting towards the end, and I remember going up, and I do have minor asthma, started flaring up, and I was like, hey, it would probably be a pretty good idea for me to stop. And then you saw Coach at the end of the street, and you were like, whatever. So I decided to gun it and finish strong, and it was probably a bad idea. And I did it, I remember, not because I think that Coach would have explicitly been like, hey, run through an asthma attack. But you wanted him to know that you could, and you wanted to be able to give him your all and give him your best. And that was something that Coach could do, unlike many other people. Yeah, absolute legend.
Hi everyone, my name is Calvin from class of 2014, same as AJ, who just went up. I have a few small words too. I don't have much that not everyone else has already said. So I wasn't one of the fastest runners he had in his paddock. I was decent. I was all right. I was one of the sprinters. But some things that I feel like you should all know as one of his runners too, as legendary and as competitive as he is, Coach Blackburn also knew how to have fun in between, all the races and all the sprints and everything. And like AJ, I had an experience with Coach Blackburn also on those hill sprints. I remember I was a freshman, and it was my first practice with Coach, and I was way in the back, way in the back. I was probably like the second to last guy back there, and this is probably the second lap up, or second or third lap up there, and as I'm running up there, he's like, come on, keep up with him, keep up, come on. And on our way back down, when we're walking, he was all like, "You're not tired already, are you?" I'm like, "No, sir, not now, no." And something that made me laugh, but kind of in a way, I guess, is a motivation technique for him. Was he said something along the lines of, "Oh, we got a lot of work to do here." But I just wanted to bring that story to you guys. Thank you.
My fellow classmates, AJ and Calvin, also class 2014, and motivated me to come on up here. But we always talk about how Coach had that presence. He didn't say jump, we would just pretty much ask how high, whatever we could do to get that, to earn his respect, which he never asked from us. We just wanted it, all of us, varsity, JV, however it was. But there were times where he actually went out to keep up and try to motivate us as well. So one of my memorable stories, we went all up to Brookline actually to do the hill sprints on their very particular course in Brookline. And one time I looked over my shoulder and I was lagging behind, and I see Coach running behind us, and I was like, I've never seen this happen in my life. This is back in 2016 or something like that, and 2012, excuse me, I'm losing my time. But he was there, and I really didn't expect that. I really expected him just to point at the top and to do that so many times. And another time, just a typical Commonwealth Avenue run. He was biking as he does all his time. In his runs, check up on you, trying to motivate you to keep the guys in front. But he went the wrong way down the carriage lane, and he got a ticket for it. So I know you can even do that in Newton, but he was bemused, and he was a pretty good sport about it. But he was always there for us behind our shoulders, and we were always running up straight like that, in case he was there, because always want to look good in front of Coach. So he was always there for us, and we just won't forget that.
I'm Jess. I obviously didn't run on the boys' team. I was on the girls' team, and I don't have a baby in here. He's over there, little 4-month-old Oliver. But I just wanted to say a quick word. Everyone here inspired me to get up and talk. So I knew Blackburn probably from when I was really little, because my dad coached volleyball here. So I always knew about him. My brother ran track. Always knew he was, a legendary, great coach. And he was the first person. I was probably, 6th or 7th grade, swimming at the lake where he was always swimming, and I remember I was on the docks and he was swimming in the water, and he was the first person to tell me, he was like, oh, you'll win a state title someday. And I was like, all right, I guess so. Since it was Blackburn, I was like, that makes sense, and ended up doing it. And I always, he was always around, always able to talk to him, and it was really motivating, even though he wasn't my direct coach. And then after high school and college, I ended up doing triathlons, and I did a lot of my swimming at Crystal Lake, and I would always look forward to popping out of the water and seeing him walking with his wife and just checking in on how I was doing, and being able to tell him my updates. And so, years after graduating from high school, he still was big motivating factor for my athletics. So really just great all-around guy, and really made a big impact on a lot of people's lives.
Greetings everyone, my name is Carl Willem, class of 2013. I threw 4 years of shot put and discus under Coach Blackburn. I want to start off by saying, Evan, thank you so much for immortalizing our beloved coach. You know how much he means to all of us, so thank you so much to your wife, Mayor Fuller. Thank you for joining us this evening as well. So happy to be here tonight with all you lovely people. Sorry if you guys, can you guys hear me? You guys all right? Cool. Got a sweat, a little power stance or something. So, looking back at my 4 years, high school, track and field, every year better than the last. Coach Blackburn made that experience great for all of us, because we have to remember he didn't just produce great athletes, he produced great humans as well. And that's why he's touched all of our lives. And in a way, we probably touched his as well. There's so many great memories I have of Coach personally. One of them would be the one time I convinced him to run the 4x1 relay as a shot putter. He was adamantly against it. He didn't want me to do that at all, because I was a senior. I was one of the better throwers in the state, but I got him. He coached me one-on-one, which was a really unique and awesome experience. And come race day, I'm pumped up. I have my sweatband on, I got my short shorts, I'm ready to go. I pull my hamstring. Oh no, it's all right. But that was the one time Coach Blackburn ever displayed, like, come on, Carl, like, what are you thinking? Like, we need to throw shot puts. Like, all right. So from then on, I healed, and then I went on to place 12th in the nation, which was pretty cool. Yeah, well, thank you. But seriously, it's awesome to be here tonight with all of you to celebrate our wonderful coach, Jim Blackburn. Thank you so much, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Blue, and from Newton North class of 1992, so I'm listening to all the folks that have been up here a little bit younger than I am, but I remember Mr. Blackburn from it's 30 years now, and I was actually lucky to be the first class to have him here at Newton North. He was coaching indoor track in 1989. It was the first time I ever ran, and got the experience running with Mr. Blackburn for a few years at that time, and it was special. I can't say anything too different than what everyone else has been saying about the work ethic he's instilled in me and so many others, and I carry a bit of that with me all the time. And just a real quick anecdote. I thought it was really interesting. I feel like there's a lot of good energy here, and some spiritual energy in some way. Like someone mentioned, carrying a bit of him with you. And so the day I learned of his passing, I was on a work trip out in Pennsylvania, and I was in a hotel, some random town, northwest of Pittsburgh. And I usually go for a run. I'll take my running shoes with me when I'm on a work trip, and so I had him with me, and so I was kind of down that evening, and I was sad about what I learned, and thinking about Mr. Blackburn and all the things that he'd done, when I was with him. And so I went out on this run the next morning, as I usually do, and when I'm not sure where I am, I just kind of go for out a distance and turn around and come back. And so I thought I'll do a 10K run. I'll head out 5K and get the watch. It'll tell me when to hit 5K, and I'll come back. And little did I know it was, outside of Pittsburgh, and the hills are just ridiculous. I went back and looked at the run on the phone the other day, and it was 800 feet of climbing or something like that. So I get out, I'm almost at the 5K, and I'm just done. I just want to turn around. I'm like, when am I going to hit the 5K? And somewhere around 4.5K or so, I hit the street. I'm getting ready to turn around, and there's a street, Blackburn Heights. I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty crazy. So I was like, I guess I got to go down the street. I was just going to keep going straight on the street I was on, but I got to see what's down here. So I take a right on that street, I go down, and it's this massive, big downhill right down the bottom. The 5K was right at the bottom of the downhill. I'm like, yeah, this figures out. I remember all these Otis loops that we had done in the hill over here that the guys were talking about. I'm like, how fitting is this? So I hit the 5K at the very bottom, turned around and ran as hard as I could up to the top. Stopped for a moment and just thought about Mr. Blackburn, and you know, it was kind of a cool moment that really stuck with me and just made me think about, you know, how you carry things with you through life. So, yeah. So, and the other part of the interesting thing, I went back to look at my phone afterwards, in the neighborhood that street was in, the neighborhood was Franklin Park. So, another weird thing. So, anyway, it's just something that kind of hit me, and I wasn't thinking about saying it tonight, but I just, you know, I want a chance to say something about Mr. Blackburn because he was really special to me and did a lot for me many, many years ago, and still carry it with me. So, thank you, and thank you Evan, for making it.
Much to everyone for sharing. I was really hoping for something like this, and I'm really glad that everyone shared their different stories, and you get to get a sense of the character of Coach Blackburn.
I just want to thank you so much for the respect you've given Jimmy, and he loved everybody. He loved running. He loved everybody, and I hope. And he was just a wonderful, stupendous person, and I'm glad that he could share some of his knowledge and stuff with you guys. Thank you.